Hello and welcome back. So we're going to review the strategies and considerations prior to the transition back to on-campus learning. Um, I've done a couple of these videos. I'm going to update a little bit of information, and I'm going to sort of go through a quick overview of the information that's already covered, but I'm going to talk about sort of where we are today. As I record this, it is Tuesday, August 31st, 2021, sorry. I'm going to kind of go over a little bit of what's happening right now. But the intention of this video is, the Odyssey Learning Center campus is now open, fully open. We start our school year August 25th, last Wednesday, but there are still some students that are not back on campus for a variety of reasons. And in this video, we're going to talk about some of the strategies that you might utilize when you are preparing for your student to come back to campus. So let's talk about sort of where we are today. Again, this is as of today. All of our staff are wearing masks while on campus, and many students are wearing masks. The bigger one, and this is sort of in accordance with California Department of Education guidelines, we have established an on-site clinic to test staff for COVID twice weekly. So if you have more questions about that, you can always reach out to the director or the principal to get more answers on that. As CDE, Department of Education, if they implement more or make more recommendations, right now we're dealing with the Delta variant. If there's more regulations, we will be following them clearly, but we will let you know. If you have questions about that, again, you can reach out to the director or the principal and get more information on that. So from the rest of this video is pretty much what I've covered in previous videos. I'm going to do a really quick overview, probably just kind of read them, but I'm going to go over it really quick in case this is the first time you've seen this video, and if you're one of your students, your student is one of the students that hasn't come back to campus. So let's go. So go through it. As always, I always recommend that you coordinate with your ABA company if you have an in-home ABA program, and then any other professionals, psychiatry, neurology, primary care. I mean, any specialist that is dealing with is seeing your student, seeing your child. If there's underlying issues, especially with vaccines and with illnesses, and we just, we're heading toward flu season pretty soon. Make sure you're coordinating with them. This video is pretty much a kind of an overview, but it's not going to necessarily give you a specific recommendation for your student. We really, just like we do on campus with IEPs, with individualized educational plans, they're individualized. So the transition might look different for your student. You might know that something's going to work or not work according to your student's needs and their skill set. So again, this isn't specific advice, but this is sort of just an overview. So distance learning, students haven't had that school structure, getting up in the morning, going on the bands, or going and, getting in the car and coming to campus for 300 minutes. 315 minutes and then going home. That routine's been completely broken up. And now at this point, we're almost to we're creeping up to a full 18 months off campus. So what we're looking at is, the new normal has been being at home, and whatever that schedule looks like, the sleep schedule, the eating schedule, all of those things. So it's going to take some time to get back into it. Some of our students have had some difficulties. Some of our students have just come back and it's been like we haven't lost any time. So let's get going. Again, really quick, sleep routines. That's one thing that we've seen a lot. A lot of our students are sleeping in or just staying up really, really late. When they're coming back to campus, they might need to get up at 6:30, 7 o'clock, 7:30 to get ready, to get on transportation, whatever that might look like, to get back to campus by 9 o'clock. One strategy is to shift the wake up time, or if you can shift both, but wake up time is usually easier because you can control that a little bit better, but waking them up a little bit every day, a little bit earlier every day. It might be 5 minutes, it might be 10 minutes. If you know when your student's gonna be returning to campus, you can always come back and it's gonna be 10 days out, and that they're getting up right now at 9 and they need to get up at 7:30 or 7, let's say. You wanna cut it by about 10 minutes every day, just 10, wake them up at 8:50, then 8:40, then 8:30, and over the course of those 2 weeks, you'll get really close to that 7 o'clock time. And also make sure, especially right now, we're still dealing with the fires. Today is actually a relatively good day as far as air quality at the campus. I don't know where you are. It depends on where you are in this greater Sacramento region. We want to make sure that when you're trying to shift that bedtime earlier and getting them up earlier, you want to make sure that you are using up all their energy during the day. It's really hard right now because there's not a lot of time to go outside. Today is, again, I think it's moderate air quality on campus, maybe even okay. Air quality, I haven't checked it lately, but you want to make sure that take advantage of the outdoor time when you can. Get that energy out so they're ready to go to sleep. If you don't, they're going to have that excess energy that's going to be harder for them to fall asleep. Then when you get the back end, if they stay up late and you try to get up early, you're just going to be fighting that battle every day. Oh, and if they are waking up pretty close to when their normal, regular school schedule, you can always have them start doing more of their morning routines. I know for me, with my child, when we were on distance learning, we didn't have that drive time. There were certain things. I was still getting her up around the same time, but she had more little flexibility. But what you can start doing also is if they're getting up at a reasonable time, you can start establishing and going through that morning routine earlier, instead of having a little more flexibility and allowing them to kind of hang out for a little while before breakfast or getting dressed or brushing teeth. You might want to mimic it and get all that stuff done close to when you know that they're going to get picked up or when you have to leave to bring them to campus. So again, starting over time, it would be something you want to start, the day before school starts, and get them up early or get them up and have them do everything. You want to do it in little chunks. And again, so that's what I've kind of set down there is smaller steps. Start with breakfast, then add getting dressed, then brushing teeth, brushing hair, getting all those things used to, accustomed to. New normal. Oh, so that's another thing we found out was has been very apparent for some of our students. The students are off of a sort of normal snack schedule that we have at school. Normally, they arrive here, they've had breakfast at home, they arrive here, they might not have a snack until 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30, and they might not have lunch until 12 or 1, especially with the 2:30 departure time. So if your student is sensitive to those long gaps and is used to sort of grazing, it's kind of said grazing where you eat a little bit all the time, you probably want to start making it more mimic that. So maybe if you're getting them up a little bit earlier, have them have their breakfast a little earlier, have them have a snack, after a couple hours, then have lunch at around the right time, and portion that out so when they get to school, they're not getting super upset. We've had a couple of our students get pretty upset because they're hungry. They had breakfast really early, but to them, they're already ready for a snack by the time they get on campus. So we have a few of our friends that have that. So the more that you can prep for that, the more that you can prep for that, the better for the student when they get back on campus. That it's not going to be so disruptive to them. I'm going to not go through a lot of this. I know I actually have a video on social narratives, and there is a complete video on social narratives. I think it's a half an hour long if you really want to see it. But the big thing is we want to prep them as much as possible. If you know that your student responds well to social stories or social narratives, this would be a perfect opportunity to use those. If you need any visuals for it, ask your teacher. They can send pictures of the classroom. They can't send pictures of the students, but they can send pictures of staff. They can send pictures of the van. They're on Odyssey vans. We could get a picture of a third party if it's a Medicab or a district. District might be a little harder to get a picture of, but we have a lot of third party transports on campus. So if we need to, we can try to get a picture of one of those to put into that social narrative. But it's something that, if you're not sure, it might not be effective. But if it's something that you've used in the past, please let us know and we can make a social story for your student. And that's kind of what I talk about here. The teachers have the social narratives, an outline for it, but also for a couple of the classrooms, especially the first couple, I made a quick video of what the arrival looks like. Some of our students are accustomed to getting dropped off on the south side of campus, the parking lot on the south side. We've split that up because of cohorts and because of COVID. And so some of our students are going to be getting off their transport, whatever it might be, on the north side of campus, especially if they're in the 5, 4, or sometimes the 3 building. It depends on where they are on campus. And there's also some construction that's happened. There's different flooring, different layout of classrooms. So anything that we can do there to sort of prep them. We do also have a couple newer teachers. So just any of those changes that if your student is sensitive to those changes, and we can prep them however we can, please just reach out and we can get pictures, we can get social narratives, we can get going on that. Another one that we talked about that, and we have had some issues. We have had students come to just drive around. just see a campus, just so they can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. It is, you know, again, it's been a year and a half for some of our students that haven't been on campus, and the seasons have changed multiple times. It's now the middle of summer. When they left, it was March, so it was the, you know, mid-spring, or I think it was right before the first day of spring. So it looks different. The big tree that we all enjoy and on the playground looks completely different. We had a bunch of was trimmed way back right at the beginning of COVID, when the closure, but now it's growing back, but it doesn't look the same as when they left. So there's going to be some changes. A lot of them are positive, but there are some things going on. So if this is something that you feel like your student would benefit from, just reach out to your teacher and we can coordinate something, you know, maybe come after school. We can't really have people come out, and there's all sorts of rules about visitors on campus, but we can definitely kind of coordinate something, especially if your student is going to benefit from that. Okay, and this I talk about a lot here, about safety procedures and masks. I know I made a video about masks earlier. I think I had this was a whole nother video of safety procedures and mask wearing, but we're going to get going on that. We're going to get going on it right here a little bit. I'm going to do a quick overview. You know, if you want your student to wear a mask, you've got to start now. You don't want to wait until the last day and expect them to start wearing a mask. We've had some social stories, social narratives for hand washing and masks and all that stuff. We are trying to do as much as possible we can to mitigate that. I think one thing I did mention in there, we are cohorting by building, so there's not much mixing of anyone other than, you know, speech and OT and me. As we're going to different classrooms, but we're all masked up. And sometimes I wear one of these guys too, on top of that. But for our students, you know, making sure that they're comfortable with people wearing masks, because every staff member is wearing a mask. So if your student hasn't been around a lot of people wearing masks, it would be important to sort of at least show them kind of what it might look like. So desensitize them from that. Hand washing too, you know, we have all those guides, task analysis that we can use. There was a task analysis video posted earlier that has a lot about implementing task analysis. Excuse me. So again, we want to reach out and make sure that we're providing that. If we are definitely working on it with all of our students to make sure they're hand washing all the time. But again, it's one of those things we also have to consider. And then this is actually a reference that I found. I think they actually pulled it down. This was from pretty early on in COVID, but it is a good reference if it still works. I'm not sure if that link works anymore because I missed out on some of that. So that's about it. I'm going to stop screen sharing if I can. But anyway, oh, right there. So if you have any questions, anything at all, please reach out to your teacher. You can reach out to our director, our principal. We're all here to help. And I look forward to seeing your students on campus pretty soon. All right, thank you.